In this lesson, we're going to take a look at hooks, which is an advanced feature, but a really helpful one that allows you to automate repetitive tasks, especially things that are happening during your run. So this would include things like auditing, granting permissions, making sure things are set, whatever it is, it can happen throughout your runs. And so what we'll do here is take a look at how to use hooks. We're going to understand the goal of hooks, and there's two types, pre and post. We'll understand on run start and on run end, which happen at the very start and the very end of any run. And in that case, it's not each individual model, but for the entire scope. Then we'll see it in action a little bit by using hooks to populate an audit table. We'll see how to both hard code it with some SQL in our project and then convert that to a macro, so it's a little more dynamic. And then finally, we'll use the on run start and on run end as well within our project to see the difference and how that can all work together to create a pretty cool automated workflow. And this is definitely an advanced feature, so there are assumptions that you understand how their configurations and the macros work, which we've covered. And as we can see here, there are some examples, and a lot of times people use hooks to handle things like administration, granting controls, populating certain tables, maybe it's an audit table, things like that. Whatever it is, they are repetitive statements that you want to make a little bit easier, and DBT makes it easy. So when you hear the term hook, pre-hook and post-hook specifically, they are going to be executed before and after an individual model, seed, or snapshot. So it's with each individual model. If you have 10 models set to run and you have a pre-hook on all of them, it's going to run before every single model. Then for on-run start and on-run end, these are at the very start and the very end of the entire process. So rather than digging more into this, let's hop over to our project and we'll see this in action a little bit. So now I've opened this up side by side, and let's actually dive into pre-hook and post-hook. That's what we'll look at first here. So right off the bat here, as we'll see, this is configured very similar to other model configurations because it is, in fact, a model configuration, just like the schema, materialization, all of those different things. So you can do it in the DBT project layer and add it within the resource path. So again, maybe a directory, or you could do it in the model itself because this is very specific to a model. So there's different ways to do it. It's similar with other concepts as well. But let's now look how to do this for our project. So first thing I'll do here is add a new branch called add seeds. So we're working on this branch, and let's open our DBT project. Previously, as we mentioned, the attributes were handled through here, through the different resource paths, and depending on where you set it, it will flow through to all underneath. So in this case, let's say we want to do a pre-hook and a post-hook that happen for every single model in every directory. It's all the same. The way we do this here is come under our project, space in twice, and we're going to add it as a configuration. So plus sign, pre-hook, and whatever it is we want to write here. And we'll add this here in a second. And then post-hook, same thing. You don't need to have both. You can just do one and not the other. But again, this can be done either here. You could do it just within a specific resource path. If you wanted, it's up to you, and it will override and take precedence depending on how low you go, all the way down to a specific model. So in this case here, I'm going to introduce something new also just to see what this looks like. I'm going to add a log statement. If we look here, we can use this log command to return something to our logs when it runs, and you'll see what this looks like. So I'm going to paste this in here. This is also in the notes of the course, but there's a few things we'll need to update here. One, we don't have any arguments, so we can get rid of this. And for our sake, we actually need this to be a string that's passed in. So let's do it like this. We'll wrap the whole thing in double quotes and change these to single quotes. Quotes are very tricky within DBT. You got to pay attention to it. I'll say this is a pre-hook. And then we'll do the same thing and say this is a post-hook. Now, how do we even see this happen? Well, if we run anything, again, it's going to happen for every single model. So let's just pick some to run. Let's just do a DBT run. We'll do staging dot star. So we run all the staging models. And what this is going to do is print it out in our logs. So it looks like I need to do DBT deps to get our packages from the previous lesson. And now let's do DBT run. And again, what it's going to do is something in between each, and we will not quite see it here. To here, it looks like everything normal, everything's happening, nothing new. But what I'll show you here is once we go to our logs, which we haven't quite used before. If we go to our logs here under logs, dbt log, this is going to look like a bunch of gibberish, but it's actually very helpful. And this is similar to what you can see on dbt cloud as well when we looked at the details. Go all the way to the bottom and it's going to show you the most recent run. So this is where you can see all this stuff happening for each model that ran. It's very granular on what's happening. And here we can see this is a pre-hook, this is a post-hook. So it's logging that when that would occur. And we can see that there. So essentially what that's saying is it works. Now let's go back and do the same thing for on run end, just to show you what that looks like. So on run end and on run start are a little bit different. They're not configurations on the model level, they're on the entire run. And the way you would do that is you add another section here similar to vars or seeds or models, but you call it on run start, we'll say in this case. And what we can say is we can just log something again just to see it. And we'll say this is on run start. And let's do the same for on run end. Again, this is just to first show you what this is and where it happens. And then next we'll actually use this to build some cool stuff and use it in practice. All right, so on run start, on run end. And another thing we can do here is clean out these logs, because right now this is keeping track of everything historically and it gets pretty messy. And maybe we just want to be sure what we're looking at. And one way we can do this is update our clean target to include logs. So let's do logs. If you remember, this is what gets cleared out when you do that dbt clean command. And in this case, we also want to clean out our logs. So one, just add it here. And then if we run dbt clean, this is going to help us out for this example. And we'll see now it cleaned the logs and this is gone now. It's actually just removed it. So that's empty and we can feel confident starting over. All right, let's now do this again. This time, I'm just going to do payment app.star just because there's only one. Keep it simple. So it would just run, oh, I got to run dbt deps again because I cleared out everything, which includes the packages and all that stuff. All right, let's try again. And you can actually monitor this in real time. You can see it's adding. So if you wanted to monitor something, that's where you can see it. So here's that error that we just saw. All right, let's see here. So this is our run. And if we scroll down, we see it's just kind of compiling everything, yada, yada. Okay, here it is. So it started here and we can see this is on run start. And then it started running this stuff here. And we can actually see if we look at the terminal, we can see it's running the on run start hook. Then it goes into the individual models and then it runs the on run end. So you can see kind of where this is happening. And this hook right now, again, they're just printing things to the logs. But what we can do here is run any SQL we want, run any command, use a macro, doesn't matter. But now you can see where those happen and how to set them. So I'll stop this video here and we'll do a part 2 where we actually use this in action to create and update an audit table using these different hooks. And we're going to make it a little more dynamic by using a macro. So let's pause here and I'll see you at the next video.